Morning, friends. This is the Miss Wolfie from our half-acre homestead, and today is July 10th, 2015. We're leaving in a couple of hours on our trip to Ohio, and I have some questions here I want to answer before I go because I'm not going to get a chance to do this while I'm away. So, here is our update. Hi, Bevan, how are you? I know you're leaving for vacation, but I have a quick question for you. I'm planning on doing some canning this summer, something I haven't done in probably 20 years. I have forgotten all the basics of canning. I won't be pressure canning because I don't have a pressure canner, and the foods that I will be canning are high-acid foods anyway. I was wondering, do you have a video on canning basics? Example, how full to fill the hot water bath canner, how to sterilize jars, how to prep the lids, etc. If you don't, would you be willing to do a Canning 101 video? Okay, I don't have time right now to do that. I could probably do one later on after I get home. But the easiest thing I can tell you is how full to fill the hot water bath canner. You want your water to be 1 inch minimum, 1 to 2 inches above the filled and closed jars. And the best way to do that is to sterilize your jars right in the water bath canner. You put your basket in and you fill your jars with the hot water from the canner and put them in the canner and then drop the basket down in. So your jars are now filled with water. And then you can gauge how high above the jars the water is going to be. Because once you bring that water to a boil, and once you lift those jars out of the boiling water, they're A, sterile, B, you can dump the water back in, and C, you'll know exactly how much water you need in that canner because you just used filled jars, even though they were filled with water. As far as the lids go, put them in a bowl. Pour boiling water, or not boiling water, excuse me. Put them in a bowl. Pour water from the kettle that is just off the boil over them and just let them sit. How to prep lids. That's what I got for those answers, you know, on the fly. Okay? That was for Cheryl, and I didn't get this person's name. Where to buy a dehydrator? I got mine in Arizona, and a friend had picked it up for me, I think at Sears. But you can get them on eBay, and any kind of outdoor, like Pro Bath Shop sells them. I'm pretty sure Walmart sells them. How much? Anywhere between $75 and $100 is not bad for a good Nesco dehydrator. What brand? Nesco. I like Nesco. You can get an Excalibur if you want, but they're more expensive. And Nesco is coming out with some really nice newer ones. Mine's mine's about 5 or 6 years old. So no, mine isn't 5 or 6 years old. It's like 4 years old. Anyway, I like my Nesco American Harvest. They do everything an Excalibur does. The only problem I ever had, and it's not even a problem, is if I use more than 4 trays and I'm dehydrating something for up to 12 hours, you are going to have to rotate the trays once about halfway through. But other than that, with the fruit leather trays and stuff, you can even dehydrate, you know, thick liquids. So I love Nesco. And they're like half the price of an Excalibur, and don't take up as much counter space, and they're easier to store. Things you need. What, for your dehydrator? You need to learn what vegetables and fruits to blanch and what you don't have to. That's what you need. You need a good set of recipes and guidelines for dehydrator. The books that come with them, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. The books that come with them don't always tell you to blanch stuff. They just tell you how long to dehydrate them for. Where to store them. Oh, how to dehydrate. You're just going to have to, you know, do the research. Some things you have to blanch. Some things you have to par cook, and some things you can dehydrate raw. But things like, you know, I have a whole playlist on dehydrating stuff, you know, on my YouTube channel. So where to store them. Now, I store all my dehydrated stuff in mason jars. And no, I don't use O2 absorbers. And no, I don't vacuum seal them. Unless I'm planning on keeping it for more than a year. When I dehydrate things like eggs, which I don't dehydrate anymore because I like oiling the eggs, and that because they never last long enough to need to be dehydrated. But if you're going to store your dry stuff, like your dehydrated celery and carrots and tomatoes and all that stuff, I pack the jar as full as I possibly can and then put a lid on it. If you're going to leave that jar for over a year for long-term food storage, absolutely put in an oxygen absorber. I just store them in my pantry. My pantry is dimly lit, and it doesn't really get hot or overly cold in here. So how long can they last? Shelf life. That depends. If you've used an O2 absorber or you vacuum sealed it, indefinitely, like years and years. But the ones I just put in a jar, I've used up to a year and a half. And that's pretty much your 411 on all that stuff. Anyway, Papa and I and Nan are leaving today for Ohio. And so we are going to spend our first night in Pennsylvania, and then tomorrow morning get a head start. And we'll probably be in Ohio sometime in the late afternoon between, you know, 2 and 2 o'clock at supper time, somewhere around there. And we're gonna have a good time. As John would say, as my brother would say, we're gonna sling some hash. Yeah. Well, he wouldn't say it like that. I do. He'd say, we're gonna sling some hash. Oh yeah. Anyway, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying that for videos for the next couple of days are already pre-scheduled because I'm not going to have time to do more while I'm traveling, but they're up. They're recent videos. Okay, so we'll catch you the next in a couple of days. You'll probably see our first video from Ohio. All right, I love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye. Doesn't want to shut off.